The only thing we need less to do geometry-wise is finalize the exterior. That's like the only glaring thing still
Okay.
Yeah.
we need to do in terms of not animation.
We would like some help with that, actually,
Okay.
if possible.
All right.
Some, like, advice on
Cool.
how to approach something like that.
Wait, why? That's just
Oh,
sorry.
Trippy.
Trippy. Okay. What do we have here? Cool. And okay, that's them. Okay, nothing's really happening there. That those just need secondary animation and stuff, probably. Hey.
Yeah.
And then the room is nice to have. Yeah, the other teams are really struggling with like linked content and texture management, texture resolutions. Saving scene files in texture mode tends to crash them. I don't know if you've noticed that,
I've never heard of
No,
that
I've
one.
never heard that
That's very
either.
strange.
like yeah, because when it loads up, then it needs to load all those materials as well at the same time. And if
Isn't that maybe if you save midway through, like when it loads the textures?
nah,
Yeah.
it's
If
just
you're
a
linked in separately, the files are tiny or more manageable. So
Yeah,
of course that is
that's
crashed.
strange.
Here's a link, by the way, if you want to download the props. You just have to download that and then everything will link in.
that's cool. I'm more interested in the animation for now. I really like what you guys have done in terms of style of the environment, and I think that's like whatever you're doing there is working. So I don't have much like criticism in that field or area.
Thanks.
And you're also very critical of yourselves, so I don't feel like I need to
I
add
mean, yeah,
add
comes
anything
with the
there.
territory. Yeah.
Okay. Curves are great. Timelines good to have.
Excuse me, don't touch my keyboard.
Clicky clicky.
Click, 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 click.
Okay, so there's some modifiers like noise and things that you can put on an F curve for the floating stuff, but obviously not for armatures. I wouldn't recommend that. Give me a sec, my cat wants out.
Understand. Okay, do you want me to just remove my keyboard? I can, if it's such a problem, Guido.
No, it's not a problem.
I'll just remove my
We
keyboard.
can hear it, but it's not.
Yeah, it's kind of soothing actually.
Yeah. Sure.
Nice ambiance. Makes me feel like I'm in a. What's those old-timey phone call centers or like?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I feel like I'm in an office. It's all good. Feel very professional.
Call on line 3. Beep. Oh god. I can't bother typing that one.
Okay. If you were in the habit of making keyframes on the entire rig, so if your keying set included the entire character without it being the selected bones, then you might have a lot of keyframes that are just sort of hanging around to, just because they're there, not because there's actually any movement. So you can go and say keyframes clear or clean channels, and then it'll remove all the ones that are sort of static without affecting any of the movement.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
That's so helpful.
I didn't know that was a thing.
So helpful.
so it's useful, but then obviously you don't, it's not something that you necessarily want to do in the beginning, because then you do get floating keyframes if you add keys back in sometimes. But I think at this point it might not be a bad idea.
Okay.
Okay, so trying to see. So there's a little bit of a pop here and there. I suppose what you could do is isolate the selected keyframes and look at a smaller portion of the animation. I guess 100 frames is a good sort of section of animation to work on. It's 4 seconds, and it's kind of a you get a good sense of timing on 4 seconds. I don't know what the underlying theory is, but it's almost like it's a good digestible portion of animation. I tend to work with about 100 frames. 120 is probably not a big step away from that, so I think that's fine. But when it gets more towards like 6-7 seconds or something like that, then I would just split it into smaller portions for playback purposes.
Okay.
So let's see what is actually. Okay, so there's this little bump that I picked up on that arm. So it's doing something here, but it doesn't have to.
Okay.
So it's like that key. You just want that little bump over there, and it's on the. Sorry. So the hands position. So sometimes when I go into Curve Editor, I just try and lock the whole bunch at the same time. I don't know how I managed it yesterday. Locking really quickly, so it's a shortcut for lock. It's just that you don't move any of the other stuff, but now protect, that's what it's called. Shift W. Okay, and then so it's really only the positional information. Do you want to change? Okay, anyway, position, location, Y. Okay, I don't see any. Oh yeah, there you can lock the entire. It's weird that it doesn't isolate, like it includes all the keys from the fingers and everything in the hand as well. Okay, not a big deal. I'm just looking for that little bump in your animation. I don't seem to pick it up in curve so much, which is weird because it's supposed to be this curve. Or Z. Yeah, okay, so it's that one. No, I'm not muted.
Okay.
I am not muted.
No, are you in a meeting?
Yes, I'm in a meeting. Totally in a meeting. My kids are on holiday.
It's the joys of having many children around the house. Yeah, and then they don't understand. Please, I'm busy. It's like, why are you busy? Because I'm busy. Please.
Yep. Okay. Right. Maybe isolate. There's a better place for this. See dope sheet. That at least isolates. Still doesn't isolate. Just show me the selected, please. Thank you. Okay. Okay. This is actually making a lot more sense now. Well, that is at least. Hand, IK, location. So it's the Z location, and then you can see. Okay, there's the pop up. So just trash that. Okay, but now gets a little static. Let's just trash that one as well. And you may just want it to float down slowly, maybe a little bit of rotation or something like that. And then it helps having your keying set up prior to that, or doing something that I would never suggest, but often do. And that little button over there, auto keyframe. It could be a terrible thing to do because you end up animating things that you're not supposed to.
I can imagine.
So maybe also this intersection bit. I don't know if it's got something to do with the shoulder. It's not, the shoulder's not doing an awful lot. So I'm also just going to trash some of those keys. Okay, and I just want to avoid the floatiness of things, so did lower shoulder at some point. It looks like it's more the angle of the elbow that's doing the intersection. But you could also do a last pass on fixing intersections and stuff with shapes, so corrective shape keys and things in the end, if it is absolutely essential for the pose to be in that position. Okay, so he seems to be dropping shoulders sort of in the beginning, and then maybe just check whether you can move the elbow just a little bit lower. And then it goes up again, sorry. And again. Maybe some subtle movement in this hand as he pulls it in.
Okay.
The fingers tend to stay the same, or they're sort of all crunching at the same time. So maybe just offset some of these lower digits. Ooh, not like that. And also not quite like that. Sorry, I actually rotated in a bit. If you close your, sorry, I'm like moving that in the wrong direction. Let's try and get the axes right. You are all animating in local space, right?
Yeah.
Rotating stuff in global space is asking for trouble in the long run. So yeah, just a little bit of an offset in the hand would help. Maybe that one's too far now, but subtle variations in the pose could help. Make it feel more natural. And then there were a few pops in the face. Do you guys then switch to texture mode if you animate the eyes, or?
I do, just so I can see where he's, looking.
Okay. If you do have it
He has
on.
a eye cap thingy like a lens. I don't know if it would work. Just switch it.
Switch the material.
Yeah, because he has a lens in it. Underneath the lens is the actual.
Yeah. So I think what I did in other. Let me just switch, because you can also just, in terms of viewport,
You can hide.
yeah, you could, well, instead of hiding it, because then you might forget to render it and things like that, just in your viewport visibility, you can go and make it like a wireframe or a bounding box. So then it's there, but it's not in the way.
Let's spin this actually.
Cool. Okay, now it's difficult to see the performance, and we're on 4 frames per second, so that's also not a very realistic. Yeah. Okay, so it's the brows. mainly.
Okay.
And it might just be because we're only seeing a few frames. But I think in general it would help to just go and inspect each individual element's curve and sort of key proximity to make sure that none of the keyframes are like within 2 frames of each other, just so that you don't have any of those, unless you've really gone in and had to like manually tween something. You generally don't want that movement to be as snappy. Doesn't seem as snappy when we look at all the frames, but these guys tend to pop a little bit, so let's look at those. You could also try and automate the process of smoothing it out by going and so selecting all of those and again doing a sort of a smooth keys, but it's not always the best way of doing things. I think what it did was actually just change the Bezier angle of these. My shortcut for displaying these is not working, so let me just see if I can frame selected, get an idea of what that actually does. You'll also notice that like pretty curves actually result in fairly like appealing animation. So if you see your curves doing weird stuff, like weird wobbly things, then it's probably not the best for your animation. But you also do want to hold things in places, right? So but I feel like this is not an animation issue. That might actually be a linking or a driver issue, because you can see that the animation is quite smooth, but the drivers only kick in like at a certain point. Do you see that?
Okay. Yeah.
So you just need to be sensitive about that, or you need to go and look at the driver. Well, so like the shape drivers, which like now I need to remind myself where that is. And there's shapes, I suspect. Lids. Sorry, brow.
There should be a actual like where you go to change it to like graph editor and stuff. There should be one that is like drivers.
Yeah.
Or just open it. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's where did they put it? Or is it in the curve editor?
Yeah. It might be.
I forgot. But that should be fine.
I think there's it's in its like own panel. It actually shows
there's
their drivers.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is. And then you can squint it a bit.
Is it the frown? And then just view, frame selected. Okay, and then this stuff is also a bit of a little puzzle in itself, like I think it's about the inclination mostly, but you just need to worry about that. So the frown, driver,
I think it actually might be the furrow instead of the frown, because the issue is when it actually goes inwards.
That it's just too sharp.
Yeah, so I think that might be the issue.
And that's just the value. X location value. Sure. I haven't linked drivers in a while. I would need to experiment. I would probably need to break this before I fix it.
Yeah, drivers are a pain in the butt to figure out.
So to just change, or either that, or just be very like sensitive to the fact that they do jump over a small portion of space,
Yeah.
and then just reduce the intensity of that animation. So you could also then, as another, I mean, because the driver would actually, I think there's just like a multiply by 0.5 or divide by 2 or something like that you could add to make it less sensitive. But
Okay.
otherwise you could also just take the curve, and this is also something that I often do when I feel like the animation's a bit overdone. Then I sort of take the entire animation curve and just scale it. So if it's the, what position is that? It's the X position that we're trying to, so X location, lock everything, unlock X, select just X, and just scale on Y by 0.9. Ugh, you guys are locked. Why are you moving? No. Okay, well, fine. Do it that way. Am I the only one that thinks that this is not right? You toggle selection. I have told them that they're not
Yeah.
selectable and locked.
Yeah.
Must I just switch them all off as well? I can't even
Maybe.
see them. They're still there.
I mean, it might be that you can still select them, but when you try to move them, they don't move.
Wait, those are still. So it's still the brow control. Those are the ones that are probably coming through. Okay, so sorry. My bad. Okay, so location X and location X, and okay, so that's the incline. Scale on Y by 0.8 or 7 or 6, and then we should just see more muted animation. Well, it's happening on the one, and I think I broke the other one, so now he's looking way more confused. He's like, what? Why does it seem like there's... Okay, but in any case, that's just a... That would need to be tweaked. I'm obviously not... I'm breaking more than fixing things. I'm just trying to show you like methods of maybe approaching sort of, or global solutions to things.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm going to move on to someone else's stuff.
Okay, cool.
And then
Thanks, Stefan.
I'll draw on the captures for more detailed feedback then.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Stefan. I appreciate it.
Cool. All right, who else's stuff can I look at?
Actually, Stefan, could you maybe look at our animatic?
Yeah.
Because it's everyone's animations together, so you can give us some feedback on how everything flows.
Okay.
So it is slightly less updated animations because it's from last week, but it's everyone's stuff sequentially. We have it in our drive. I don't know if it's been added to the... oh, is it that one?
Yeah, it's this one.
Yeah, that's the one.
I left you a snooty little comment on there saying like, please check the detailed... like, yeah, hi team, please feel free to add and check your responses on the others. But okay, let's do this. Okay, now I just want to connect my pencil while this plays.
I see you added some continuity there, Megan.
No, it just works.
Oh.
I didn't change anything.
Or isn't that hand movement new at the end of the shot?
No, that wasn't the end of the story.
Sorry. Just oops. Okay, I guess I can stop screen sharing since we're all on sync sketch together.
I'll repost it in meeting.
I have the link, I just can't find the actual.
It's called
The actual.
T4W3.
Hold on, I also have another right link apparently.
It's at the very bottom, 14.
Hold on, general. What the fuck is general?
Up.
Is it the new one or the old one?
New
I'm on the new. It's not the one there.
joins.
Try.
No,
Wait, I
that's
think I'm on the right sync now. It's old. It's the old one.
the old one.
Oh yeah, the new one old there.
This is the new one. The new textures.
It's listed as old in the pins.
Oh, yeah, no, but do the new one.
Yep, okay.
Okay, we
Yeah.
found
Book a
it.
meeting.
Okay, I'll just join that one. Yes.
Come on.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, it's the old link. Whatever, I'm here. It's cool.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
Yeah, you might have, I think.
I need to rip this.
Wait, this is not the right. Oh no, it is. It is.
I need to rip this tab out and put it on a different screen so I can draw on it. Or actually, this hasn't happened or worked in the past, so just give me a minute. I just want to get my ducks in a row. Oh my word! Wait, what's? Is it playing through every? What is it doing?
I
It's
think
playing
on
through.
the wrong one.
Yeah, it's on the one.
It's playing through
The
every-
term for week 3, I'm assuming it's at the bottom there. It's under red.
I think it switched accidentally.
It follows whoever, because you're all editors, so anyone
Oh, okay, let's just go here then.
anyone that
There you
clicks
go.
around, we're following that person. Okay, all right, I'm nearly there. I just need to sign in again. Right, happy days. That sparkling shader,
It needs to be tweaked.
it
I think
seems
that's intentional.
it
It is intentional, it's just not supposed
Oh,
to
is it? Okay.
it's not
So
supposed
now picture ends.
it's
Yeah,
not it's moving.
It's a Fresnel with plugged into the roughness. Not a Fresnel, the Voronoi.
No, you just need to tweak it a bit.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That look that Blimp just gave him. I really like that climb up animation. Yeah, with lump.
So there we need continuity.
Yeah.
So, and then after this, it's still supposed to shrink. Which I don't like it.
Yes, indeed, Cameron, we do. We'll sort it out.
Can I just look?
Okay, yeah, that's fine. This is
I
this.
think, Milan,
Hello.
I think we need for the shot, you know the shot we have the massive Blimp diving and then peeking his head up?
Yep.
Just turn his head a bit so you can see the ears.
Uh,
I think that would look interesting because right now you just see like a head, but like
Yes,
Like-
originally I had his ears peeking up, but I don't remember which lecturer it was that told me that we should try and like keep the ears down so that it's just like this more ominous shape, because with the ears up you can see that it's just a really scaled up lump.
okay, alright. No
I mean, I
worries.
guess with this you can kind of see the oval.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it might have been Sean that told me.
that's fine.
Can I go through it again, please?
Yes.
This is my process. I watch it like 70 times and then.
No worries. You look so scared.
Yeah, well, there's some tricky bits of animation there, hey? Like moving the chair back, grabbing the character, and putting it on the ground. There's a lot happening.
It seems continuity, but
Yeah.
4 and 5
Might just to scale back on the other clip,
Can you scale back a little?
or I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
So he's standing in the one shot and then sitting again in the next.
Yeah, we
Let's
need to
get
address
back with the
continuity.
magic stuff. So I could add the sitting to 9, or just for 7. I think that was supposed to be not a time cut, but it's like all the magic and stuff has faded. Like we do need to like some.
I think
adjustments to that.
this first bit's already where I feel like because everything is moving the whole time, the fact that the ship is crashing or sort of does what it does has less impact than what it could have if you made it cue the camera action. So I think that was my original comment, and I've made it in the past. Obviously, I'm going to repeat
But like
stuff.
still frame,
Well,
you'll hear bang,
No,
the
no,
ship
it
sinks,
just
and
stops at the explosion and goes inside.
you could just
Oh.
you could have it like you could have a slight movement on it, but I feel like the ramp in movement needs to happen when the viewer becomes intrigued by like what's going on. It's like
yeah. So slow zoom, then you hear the bang, the house starts sinking, then
Yeah.
you zoom in faster to then
Big-
switch
Just
scenes.
zoom and just cuts
Or
the
like-
material.
Yeah, but like this shot where it goes in this close, this should only happen after the ship has settled already. Like I think what he's trying to say is that the ship for the bang or whatever cues the camera to go closer, but until then it just does a slow pan.
Yeah, because the camera is
Sure,
telling me
understand.
that the fact that the ship just almost crashed into the water is completely insignificant to the story.
The
But-
previous animatic thing had a different. It had like a faster zoom.
Yeah, but it needs to be it needs to have an impact on the way that the camera is behaving.
Okay, wait. Can I quickly send you my animatic from Tom 2 because I did that with the camera.
Cool. I don't get the fact that he's like this original him trying to balance himself or sort of settle down. I don't get. It's not conveyed. And I also think that this could still like it's not pretty to see that sort of thing, like the back of and also the sort of contrast that's occurring. Who's doing the zooming? Quit it.
Just sitting here.
My thing's breaking, so it's really weird.
So yeah, that sort of contrast, it's drawing attention to this foreground element, and it's meant to be a little bit more like, because if you could just cast this into shadow, I think it could just be a compositing thing.
Okay, do you think I should do the same thing that I did with Whale Blimp at the end, where I kind of just make it a more of a silhouette?
Yeah, I like the rim light on it.
Yeah.
So you want to feel it over there and there.
Maybe just a slight blur with this still keeping the
Oh,
light
shit.
on.
Let me just. I'm not recording this. There you go. Okay. Yeah, something, but I feel like if you composited like a more solid sort of shape or color over it and just fade it in a bit, then you could get rid of this harsh contrast over there.
Okay.
It just be very blurred. Depth of field.
Like it's out of focus.
Yeah, it's the contrast. Like you're still gonna have quite a bit of information here that you don't need. Like this is so nice and subtle, and you have all these lovely colors and this very like like little bits of detail, and you want to appreciate that. But like we pointed out before, like these things that's sort of what keeps on drawing your attention because of the sheer amount of um, highlight that it has and contrast that it has. So you just want to sort of mute these things so you can appreciate the detail that you guys have put into the textures. That's sort of an overall thing. I think the main thing is that this original, I think the arms are probably in the right position, but like he's just staring at his book, and he's not.
Yeah, he's supposed to be shocked when the camera comes in. Like as soon as the
Okay.
explosion.
As soon as he gets
I would assume he sees him growing.
this expression is good. Like I like it when this happens, but before that we don't get a good sense of what his.
I mean, isn't the house in the first shot like kind of falling the result of Blimp growing? Why is he only growing now? I'm not sure.
I don't know. I was told to make Blimp grow.
Yeah, but you don't really get. You don't get the growing bit. I mean, I can see he's like sort of scaling up, but he could also just be sort of standing up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you can also write off as that. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
What if it just starts at that frame, like where he's already looking at him, so when he's already that big, he's kind of just growing slightly.
But he's like sitting up.
I-
Or like the final stages of the grow.
Either that, or I would just sort of make him like a little bit more oblivious, so maybe like look around a little bit more. It's just like it doesn't even have to point in that direction. Maybe it's just like sort of looking like over here. Maybe he's more concerned with like his tea spilling or something like that. I don't know if there's supposed to be a liquid in there, but don't want to make more work for you. I just don't. This doesn't read as well as I think it could.
Okay.
This works well, I feel, and then I've got like sort of small comments on gestures and whatnot, but those I'll do on an individual basis. That's super cute. This little bit is so sweet. That little, yes, it's lovely. It's the best.
Someone's gonna sell this with the actual
Blimp
stats
is the
stats.
best boy.
Stefan, I sent the previous thing with the intro camera movement.
Cool.
It's on the meeting chat.
Okay, I'll check it out now. Sorry, I'm gonna jump between this and that. Is he meant to gesture that he wants the sugar? Is that what's happening there?
No, he only sees the sugar at the end of shot 2. or
Okay.
next to shot 3.
Okay,
So
then
he
I
does, like,
then I
the-
don't quite understand.
I think he's looking at the cupping put down.
Yeah.
It's too much happening.
I didn't notice that you displaced his little beard when he hits the book. That's interesting. That's cool.
That's,
Like it smooshes against the book.
Squish.
Squish.
I really love that. As soon as he puts it down, the chance to delay the look to the cut.
This little gesture here, that little look to the side, I feel like you could just get rid of that. I don't feel that that's necessary. He's got his eye on the main dude, and I feel like this is just confusing the matter. I also don't like seeing movement in his shells when he's not going anywhere. So if you can settle down like his tail, it's okay for his tail to swing, but I'd also like it to be like not raised all the time. Just mind there's a little bit of an intersection there.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. It's because I didn't even.
so I like the tail settling down because it gives it some weight, and then later on, if he's moving and it counteracts or it balances him, it's fine. But what I don't like is this sort of staying in the air for no particular reason, or switching sides but still staying stiff. If you know what I mean, like there, it's kind of sort of becomes this sort of rigid piece of his body that he's not entirely in control of. So if you're not moving it to balance the character, or if you're not expressing any emotions, if you could please just place it on the table and keep it there, I think that would help a lot.
I think Michaela might have put it up there because it was clipping with the table, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I just wanted to get it out of the way a bit, and then he was also doing some wags, but I'll keep it
You
more-
could keep it at the same direction. Just leave it on like lay on the table. I
Yeah.
think.
I mean, I still need to check my animations. I think we all do.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
currently like fixing some stuff while we're watching this, so
It looks like he's in my shop table. When I've been aware of that.
Bless you, Blump. Bless you.
Yeah, that, like, because a lot of this is working really well, but for some reason my eye gets drawn here, and you just
okay.
so just pop that down. And
Can I quickly make a comment? With Blimp in general, when we bend him, we need to try and keep his plate separation, little segments the same size. That like his tail won't really bend unless his hip also kind of bends over his front. Like they're
yeah,
like it's like a straw.
so
like a
yeah, you
straw.
want to keep that parallel.
Yeah.
So if it squashes, that they all squash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like he's a slinky. I agree. And also maybe if you can avoid taking all these steps, and maybe have him like, like how a sort of a pointer, dog pointer kind of like stretches out his upper body but his feet stay still.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look for some reference
So you
for
can-
that.
So you can take one step, but then I would keep like that foot back there. And this one it's almost like these feet can stay where they are because they're carrying the weight, and then his whole body can just move a little bit forward, like leaning towards. Although, where is he going? Because his eyes are kind of like.
Yeah, I need to line him up a bit better because he's going towards the sugar. It's
Yeah.
just
Okay.
the angle that he was sitting at. He needs to rotate a lot more to get to the sugar. So I'm fixing that now.
You guys can like pop, because it works in some angles and then others. Oh, that's cute. That's scratching. Maybe just try and put another keyframe, because that looks like he's stretching out, and then after that you want it to, when he pulls it back, so that it's more like his paw needs to bend in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it kind of looks like he's sliding his foot back and forth, but you need to have that little foot rotation for him to like do a nice scratch.
Okay.
All right, this is the.
I really like that shot.
Wait, why did we jump back there?
No,
Someone else is driving
I
again.
assume you took us there.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
We just move forward again, I guess.
Just press play.
Why?
What is that?
Why is his ear vibrating? What happened?
Is someone's cat standing on their keyboard?
No.
I can't. Yeah, when I try to skip, it doesn't do anything.
I'm scared to
I
touch
think
my
if I say
mouse.
start- If I say start presenting, then maybe I can control it.
There we go. I think it's.
Okay.
Someone just full screened it. Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, you can just press at the bottom right. Well, now it looks different.
Yeah, no, someone just clicked on this. Someone closed that.
I think I'm presenting now.
Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's good.
The chair seems a bit slow. It's like it's moving under his butt.
He's using his ass
Gross
levitation.
chair. Ass levitation.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
clenching. He's like.
Ancient art of ass.
The chair moves forward.
Instead of putting him on the ground, he just holds him.
Yeah. Cuddles.
The moving back looks good. Okay, so let's just play that again. We get to where we now. Come on, don't do that.
It's doing it again.
I'll go have a look at that other intro just now.
That look looks so smug. What the? Can we go back real quick?
That one.
But that it looks so smug.
Yeah, it's like,
I know your secrets.
I know you want to give it to me.
Give me the
I'm gonna
sugar.
get what I want. So condescending. Sorry, I read that really. That's what really gets to me.
There's a little bit of a stickiness here, probably because you want to place him on the ground. Yeah, so there's a little bit of a. I think it's because the movement is going. Yeah, his arm's doing something weird, like it's sort of going, it's turning in that direction, but then it halts and then it goes the opposite direction. So there's this weird sort of stickiness to the motion there, and I think you might be able to avoid it if you could just sort of, you know, I guess you can't just throw him on the ground, but maybe not. And I know why. I think that's the problem. Hey. Could you pick him up? Like, where's this hand? Is he grabbing him in the throat?
It kind of goes like
chokehold him.
underneath his chest area.
Okay.
Oh no.
Try grab him like on the sides of his front plate, because then you can maybe have him, as he's picked up, maybe have him curl up a little bit more, so he's a little bit more sort of he's smaller to handle, and then his tail won't intersect with the then you don't have to take him that far to put him down, and then just you're gonna have to mind this arm movement, but I think it wouldn't have to go that far if you have his arm on his sort of shoulder area there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nyap. He goes nyap after nyap. Nyap, nyap, nyap.
He looks so cute.
Alright, I gave you a bit of feedback on this floaty hand bit and intersections and stuff.
That looks clean. I like that. But just the smush of it.
I'm gonna have to pump my volume for you.
He's got Megan syndrome, unfortunately.
Okay, is that better?
Yes?
Yes.
All right, I was saying that I did make the changes, like the intersecting hand, the other arm that kind of just pops.
Okay.
And I remember you mentioned keeping the hand on the table rather than having it float around.
Yeah.
So a bunch of those changes were made.
Okay, awesome. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but this was working. There was more working here than not working, so I like that bit. He's having a senior moment here. He's like, "Go away," and then he's like, "What?" Okay, because he's
there's some continuity there. Or we could just have it canon that he has dementia. They're very forgetful with that.
How is the pushing thing gonna work? Because right now it's like just levitation sneeze, like everything is just super slippery and just holds for no reason. Like, it's not really being pushed.
something needs to something needs to be explained here in between.
Yeah, like the things are just kind of being thrown. I think initially it was when he puts his little face, like before he jumps off, he was like pushing things around.
What if he did a sort of a rollover? What if you pushed him back and then he decides to like do like a rollover, and then he bumps everything off. Because then we can put him more like here.
You mean he rolls off the table?
Or he doesn't roll. He rolls onto this sort of this spot, or he
You mean
hops
sideways.
Yeah, so he sort of like does a side hop or a something.
I mean, he could also alternatively also just cut back to before he pushes on this previous shot, and that would still line up because then you have the climbing up, and then on the next shot he'll be halfway up already. Like before the push.
I mean, do we need him to push off the tiny table? Maybe he can just stay on there.
Yeah, because if you go back to before the shot, before he's pushing with his hand, there's the shot of Blimp just climbing up. If you cut to that from that directly to my shot, then it still has continuity, I think. Like that, but then cut this out, and then if you get on my shot, it lines up. That's also a way of doing it, I think.
This pose needs to match that other pose of him that's a little bit more taken aback. So if that pose can match that pose, so his arms are a little bit more up. Sorry, almost there. So his arms are a little bit more up here. He's withdrawn his sort of his arms instead of, because this pose isn't doing that much for you, or they're going there, but I think this is a bit too front on. It's almost too symmetrical, so you want to bring this arm in a bit, and this is, we also don't want to see that from the front, so just bend it and let's see the sort of side of the hands. Then it matches your pose. I'm just wondering how we can excuse all of this chaos happening over here. What about if we had something bigger, like a bigger bottle or something that he knocks over, if he doesn't jump over, so that just sort of like topples over and then has everything else fall down?
Stefan, could you quickly look at the screenshot I sent? Because that's the actual prop environment thing. And he doesn't really need to knock off the tiny table.
Okay.
I just need a reason for him to...
There's also a wall next to it. So
Okay.
he can't really push it off that way. It would have to fall off the side.
Okay.
I mean, it's just the reason I have the table knock is to give him a reason to do the levitation of all the props in the first
But
place.
there's all the tiny little things. Like there he can levitate like the book and that thing and all the little bottles and pots that's like right there where Katlejo's. So maybe in Katlejo's shot he just pushes them forward and then Mizord has to kind of levitate them because he's just pushing them onto the book and off the side.
Does he need to levitate them at all?
I mean, it looks cool. But the thing is, like here, that stuff is going to fall off that side, while stuff like this is just kind of going onto the table. So then that stuff Mizor can levitate out of the way. And then we just leave the tiny table because it's not really necessary for him to push it off.
And it does get a little empty here, hey?
Yeah. And there's a wall there, so it doesn't really make sense for him to push it off. We just push against the wall.
Okay.
It is also a lot of animation that would need like a lot of refining, so I think it's better to just remove the table flipping completely and it's more time to polish the rest.
Sure. It would help maybe if some of the jars and things just sort of toppled off, and maybe there's one or two that bounce off and roll on the table, so that you can have a little bit of a reason for him to like have this sort of taken aback, because he can see, okay, well now there's trouble. It doesn't have to be that significant, but like maybe one or two of the jars could just like fall over or fall off the little table.
Yep, I mean, yeah, if you look at the screenshot thing, there is a bunch of stuff in that edge that can be pushed
Yeah.
around.
And then you can also, well, then it justifies the levitation as well, because now maybe these things are like rolling and about to fall off or something like that, and then he grabs them.
I wanted to actually ask about that, how that works with some of these camera angles, considering there is the wall. Like in some shots where it's a bit zoomed out, like we obviously don't show the wall, but then it shows the bottom of the table and stuff. Is that fine? Or does it kind of confuse the fact that there is a wall?
I mean, the wall is never shown.
It is.
It doesn't have to be, but I would reframe it just so that you can see the edge of the table, but you don't see under the table, because we haven't really seen that before. and then just give it a little bit more headspace, or bring it in a little bit. That's fine too. But yeah, you don't need this information. There's nothing there really.
Okay.
Here
I'm
again,
gonna remove that initial elbow bump, or I already removed it in the new file.
just keep the tail down.
Yes, tail down.
He's already done that. Should he not just give him like a slap?
Oh my god, you guys are so abusive. Like Megan's the one who initially had me do this aggressive push, and now you're condoning slapping the thing.
or a nose boop or something like a finger on the nose, kind of like, hey, you know.
Oh, that seems so aggressive. It's trying to abuse Blue.
Just a boop, like it just puts his finger like, you know.
A little nose tap.
Yeah, like no, don't do
I don't
that.
think that would do anything to Blim. Blim is kind of oblivious. He just wants to get places.
Oh, but then he'd like blink and he could just be like, "What is happening?" And he did a little like head shake because my nose just got tapped.
Yeah, it's like when you draw a chicken. I mean, a line in the sand in front of a chicken.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like what just happened.
He's just confused.
Yeah, and then he just shakes it off and he goes for it.
And he goes for more sneaky blimp.
Yeah,
I love sneaky blimp so much.
yeah. I think it would be nice here to like do a, like where would the finger in the air and thumb. Don't
Just have him do like a peace sign and jab him in the eyes.
It's-
I guess.
Give them a thumbs up.
That's like
You're doing a great job, Blimpathy.
his thumb's over here. That's his thumb. Those are his index.
Just be careful because we
fingers.
also have this thing of him getting annoyed with Blimp. So him suddenly doing like a smiling and doing a nose boop. I'm not sure how that's gonna.
Be the other way around, but the thing is, in Godlejo shot, the push looks really good as well, so you
Yeah.
don't really want to replace that one. But it would make more sense for the first push to just be a little boop, and then the second one. To
Yeah,
just
maybe
be
in the first it's a boop, but then that's not working. So now we're actually forcing it, pushing.
Now you have to assault Blimp.
Yeah, and I have to
it's-
physically move
it's-
him because he's not getting the message.
You first you try and keep your kids from the cookie jar, and then if they don't listen, then you point your finger in the air and you go like, just you do that one more time, and I'm gonna.
I'm gonna fight
it's,
you.
it's that.
I'm going to
I'm gonna
punch your
abuse
nose
you.
aggressively. Yeah.
It's gotta be that. It's that. You watch yourself. Hey, you. Like
You
boop.
gotta do that parental finger
Yeah.
wag at Blimp.
No, I said no, and then and then it's like that kind of vibe.
Yeah, just the yeah.
No, I said no.
Hey,
No.
I still really like the shot of him pushing as well. Or just the camera angle for it.
I mean,
Yeah, the angle's good.
yeah, angle's really good.
Okay, and then I think what I'll do is tackle this also again as an individual shot and just sort of point out just movement issues and keyframes and things like that. I don't know if is it parented to his hand or something, because they seem to move in perfect sync together. Like up and down.
That's just me manually doing that.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah, no. I'll just do the noise thing on the curves you suggested.
Yeah, I think.
You can also just off stuff. Existing.
Yeah, that's only a lot of PT. I'll just do the noise thing and see how that works out. But I'll focus on the main animations first.
Cool. And then I did comment on these beard movements and wobbly bits. So don't do the beard morphs. That makes it look like he could move his jawline. You can move his jaw so that his entire beard sort of has goes to the side, but like the shape shouldn't change. Here I would keep the tail down. Just keep the tail, curl the tail in, and then as he gets lifted, then also just make him curl up again. It's kind of like those little, what are those little silver beetles called?
Pull bugs.
Yeah, well, if you boop them, then they curl up. So whenever
Yeah.
Blimp feels threatened in any way, he sort of tries to protect himself and curls a little bit. And then that lifting just needs a little bit of follow through. So you just want that sort of hovering effect again.
In this shot here, there's supposed to be the big, whooshy, dark, ominous.
Yeah, the lighting
and then
would dim.
pause as the light kind of fades back, and then it cuts to his face.
What if he goes into like a crazy spin, like, wzzzt,
He just keeps spinning faster and faster.
and then
until
like a
it's just blur.
sort of a flash before we cut. So you don't really know what we did to him until.
Do we show him sitting down? Because like in my shot 7 he's sitting already.
Well, if you do the sort of flash at the
It
end,
doesn't matter too much.
then it can just be set. You can just settle down again. Maybe what you could do is do a slight movement forward along with the chair. So it's almost like he's pulled his chair in now, and he's settled down. So just a gesture, a subtle gesture that he's back at work, and then that's very cute.
A little hop.
Yeah, I need to fix it still.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, just move the legs forward a bit.
No, I did that. Don't worry, I did the polish.
And after the hop, could you put his tail down again, please? So
But he's so happy.
no, I know
Still
he's
next to me.
like, that's great, and then the fan is excellent, and then he walks like that, but then he's like hop and sit,
Okay.
hop.
I love his little strut so much.
Go put down his tail after the strut.
He's showing him who's boss. Look at him go.
I wonder if what you might want to do. So I think what we could do here to have a little bit more sort of anticipation, because we're waiting to see what he did to him. Maybe he first looks down at his, excuse the weird eyeballs, but maybe he first looks down at his book as he pulls himself closer, and then looks up towards the end of the shot.
What if he starts by looking at Blimp and then looks at his book and then looks back at Blimp?
That's also
Maybe.
fine, but I think this shot could be much longer. Like, I think
Okay.
we could add a second or two to it even.
Also, he did finish the spell, which he was using the book for, so he doesn't really have a reason to look at the book.
Well, he was.
I think it would be cute if he looks at Blimp, looks at the book, and then looks back at Blimp, just to kind of see, okay, this is the
Yeah,
result.
maybe like a sigh of relief, like as well, to indicate that okay, whatever he was doing is done now.
We just need time to digest everything that's happened, and I don't think we get enough of that. And then also what I'd like is for this shot to be a little bit more of a reveal. So if you could start the frame lower, looking at, so the camera looks at the book first and then tilts up, or tilts and tracks up to show Blimp still there waiting for him.
Okay,
and
so
fine.
it would go from him looking at Blimp at the book, and then you don't look at Blimp again. It just cuts to the POV of the book, and
Yes,
then
yeah,
it
cuts
goes,
the POV
okay, okay.
of the book, and then
Oh, okay.
so we see his perspective, and I think that would be a very nice little resolve there.
Alright.
And then I did comment on this bit as well. Again, the timing of it. You just want the viewer to read some significance into the movement and things that are occurring in the background. So I said I don't mind the jump in the end, but can we please just maybe dock the camera before he reappears or something like that, just so that we're left with a little bit of afterthought.
Yeah.
The ongoing or the constant moving camera seems to ignore whatever's happening in the environment.
So in essence, have the camera linger more.
Yeah, in both cases, both the in and the
Wouldn't
out.
Fade out, kind of.
Yeah, I wouldn't even let
Like
him.
if it fades out as it's zooming out.
It just needs to dock at some point so that we can
And just
read this better.
stop the camera before he reemerges. Then when he reemerges, you see him for a second, then fade to black.
Yes,
Actually, it's-
Yeah, I think that
just need it
works.
to as he submerges, then we can stop the camera, and then we think oh, it's all over, but then that last little appearance makes us think oh well, this is not going to end well, or whatever. We can assume whatever we want to.
What about if the camera docks and then whale blimp jumps out? So that you just, oh, it's zooming out, and then, oh no, there's a big whale blimp. So it's literally at the very end, after you think it's about to cut away, he jumps out. So instead of whale blimp jumping out while the camera's moving, does it once it stops?
I think either would work, as long as you give some weighting to the actions in the environment. So it's try and offset it a little bit. A link, you say, to the original intro
Yeah,
scene?
it's above the image.
Cool.
It's the drive link. Yeah, it's right above the picture of blimp's
Cool,
plate.
got it. It has audio. It's better. Sorry, this is not in sync sketch now, so I'm just gonna share. Wait, what? No.
Is this the old shot?
It's the one from turn 2.
Yeah. What happened to that ocean?
I think what happened was I felt that the blip gained weight over time.
It's still very early.
It's the lockdown. Hey, it's a little bit of luck.
He's the resident chonky boy. We're not allowed to
Chonkers.
judge him.
The little Nick fat.
I think the
Too many
reason
sugar cubes.
why we said we, just smooth it out was because the ramp, there wasn't enough contrast between the initial velocity of the movement compared to the movement change. It's almost like we're already moving there, and now we're just going like, oh, we better hurry. Instead of, oh, what's happening there? So I like the velocity that it has towards the end, like this bit. But if that could happen after a very slow movement and not even in that general direction, it could just feel like the camera's not static. It doesn't have to zoom in yet. We don't know that that's the point of interest until it's...
Is the camera just kind of floating through space until something interesting happens, then it zooms in?
It's like a really
And then-
slow reveal. That's all. We're just looking at we're almost just appreciating the environment. We have no idea what's about to happen. And then when it collapses, it cues our interest and it goes like, oh wait, what is in there? What's going on? But what I didn't like about this camera is that it's leading the viewer before we're giving it to them. And it's almost like you're expecting it before it even happens. And you don't want to create that sort of anticipation. You're blowing the gag kind of vibe.
What Sean said, at least for me, with the shot is using the Ratatouille intro as reference, where it is kind of the same thing, where it kind of slowly zooms into the house, but then like Remy breaks through the window and it kind of zooms towards that. That's at least what he told me, that it's the slow thing going to the house, but then, oh, now there's excitement, let's hurry up, basically. It's a bit after that, after the TV thing. It's when it cuts to the exterior. Yeah.
It's that shot.
Wait, go back? Yeah. It's a bit further back where you see the whole house in frame. It's like, yeah.
The ducks before the action. So it stops and then the action. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Is that if this shot continued to move forward as he was jumping out, it wouldn't have been the same. It wouldn't have had the same effect. It's just your camera should respond to the content.
This is me.
I think go back
And the
more to
audio
where the
helps.
house
So if you did
comes
have some,
into frame.
so your Remy jumping through the window moment is that crash moment. That's the significant moment. That little.
Yeah, but Sean just said the zoom thing when that happens instead of it already being there when it happens. Would you say we should
Yes.
do that or not?
If the sound cued it, if you had some sort of a indication that something is happening in there, then I think it's fine, because then we're being led there by the audio, which is what happens in Ratatouille, right? We're expecting to see something happen because we're led there. So we hear clunk 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 and stuff in the distance. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he meant. So it goes from the trees and then you hear the yeah.
Okay, but this is a very slow movement, and then it speeds up and goes there.
So would we also do that? The camera's just kind of hovering in place.
Yeah, camera just
then
hovers in
boom,
place,
and then it zooms.
and then you can speed it up. I think it's more about the contrast in the movement here, because we were moving too fast towards our end goal. Like I could tell from the first 2 seconds that we're going there, and that's not right. So yeah, I think it's just the contrast there.
And in comparing that back to our latest one, how would you feel about the angles? Because I think it might be a bit too zoomed out in the newest one, especially because our exterior is so unpolished. Like, I don't think it's wise to zoom out that much at the very beginning. Just go back to the very, very beginning.
It's not
Why is
letting.
it not working?
It's not letting me on this one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Wait, how much did I zoom out in the turn 2 one?
This
Yes.
is also getting a lot more. There's a lot more turning in it.
If you didn't have so much movement from the beginning, then you can afford to start closer. Somewhere around here. This may be a good place.
So if it just hovers over there with the thing in shotgun, like a
Yeah.
nice wallpaper-esque thing, and then it explosion, then it zooms.
Yeah.
It also doesn't have to zoom as far.
No, and you could also like do like if you wanted 2 movements, then you could do a sort of a slow pan across, and then start moving forward after the crash. So it's almost like the camera is just kind of passing by. It's it's beautiful scenery. It's kind of tranquil, and then all of a sudden it's like, and you're like, what?
That makes sense.
What is going on there? Does all of this still need to be textured and stuff?
Cameron did some textures for them. Just needs to be uploaded still, I think.
Okay.
Cameron?
Yeah, I'm doing the textures for the rocks, but I did the first few, and then when I moved to the mountains and unwrapped them, the textures were really like pixelated. So I think I'll have to make the image texture files a bit bigger, and I'm not sure if we can afford it.
There might be a way to do that procedurally. Maybe Chris can help?
Okay.
Yeah, I can also look at the shaders.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I just don't want it to become too soft. That's a big issue with rocks, that they just become these clay blobs.
so
Yeah.
show me what you have in terms of the texture paint, and then we can see how we can add sort of like procedural sort of cracks and dirt, grime build up and stuff.
Okay. I'll send you a screenshot now.
But another thing that I'm picking up is like your dark point, so your black value over here, and like sort of on these darker bits, it's very dark. So I think you can also afford to hide a lot of this information by just having a material that also doesn't bounce off so much light, so that a lot of that information over here and there is like hidden. Ooh, what happened there?
I use negative lights in the turn 2 render on the mountain on the left. The green one.
Cool. And then just sort of feel the run light on these, because like this is so dark that we get a sense that we can go that dark. What happened to this material? Because it was better in the in Ratatouille it was way better. I'm sorry. I mean, in this version it seemed no, not quite. But what is this? Is that just flickering, noise flickering? What's happening over
Oh
there?
no, it's literally just a
Samples.
Musgrave on
Oh.
a plane, and it's just flickering because of light bounce. There's
Oh,
no
okay.
animation on it.
Yeah, the flickering's amazing. It looks like water.
works
Makes it
quite
look like
well.
water. Okay. All right. So I think that water shader is going to be important. You don't you lost a little bit of this reflection.
Yeah, I was trying to screw around with making the water more stylized. I'm still trying to fix that a bit, so that's kind of why it looks ass right now.
I mean, we do want to animate it, and I think you do have a tutorial where you can actually have the wave stuff, and it's combined with those textures.
Yeah, it's just tricky to pull off, and still have to go back and revisit that.
We were also thinking of having the waves a bit more intense, not super intense, just a bit more in the beginning, and at the end with Whaleland, it's more calm oceans to show that all the chaos is over, and then Whaleland jumps out of the peaceful sea.
Are we gonna simulate waves for that?
I don't think you have to. We'd have to simulate for the end one. Some fluid.
Yeah, because he is kind of like leaping out and leaping back in. And...
We wouldn't have to do any scenes for the big
There was an ocean shader.
Yeah, the ocean I'm thinking of is using stylized textures, but then using the ocean built-in thing from Blender.
Yeah, where is that?
I did this a few months ago. I can't really remember. Isn't it a modifier?
Is that like spawning in?
It's a modifier.
Yeah, it's a modifier.
How
It's
heavy
geometry
is
based though.
this to render?
Hello, Chris.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be thicky heavy.
Hi.
Oh,
Yes, nothing is happening.
You need to set it to move.
you need to keep them.
Yeah.
I need to what?
Time value needs to change.
I need to bake something.
Wouldn't you just have to
No, you need to
keep
animate the time, don't you? Or does it animate?
Yeah, aren't those dots to the right of the values where you key?
animating a mouse to-
Yes.
We're gonna go. Hey.
God.
Choppy. Wait. Point one. There's the wind velocity, but surely you should be able to. There's time, depth, size. So what's the drawback, Chris? Is it because it's geometry?
It's geometry based.
Okay. Heavy.
Can be.
Would it help at all if it was baked? Or am I completely wrong with that?
You know, if it's just that, I mean, you could probably just do it with the material, with just noise and bumps and stuff, if it doesn't have to be super specific. But the fact that the whale jumps out of it is
Yeah, it's gonna do things.
that should affect how you do the whole thing.
Probably, yeah.
You know, for the intro, you could do it just with the material. I think. But then, because the whale jumps out, you're going to have to figure out it's going to have a reaction. So I mean,
What is this data layer referring to? Is that whatever is influencing this?
no idea.
Vertex color layer used for foam. Cool. So you can write. Well, that's cool because then you can write the paint layer as this data layer for the foam. So your paint, your so it is called paint. Dynamic paint. Your dynamic paint vertex data could be plugged in here, and then you're going to get foam from that. So that should be cool. And then you can do the same for the spray. Yes, do this. I think this is a good idea.
I can give it a shot.
Are you sniggering?
Yes.
Why are you sniggering?
Do this. I think it's a good idea.
I think it's a good idea. I think we've done boats with wakes and stuff in the past. Also with like that sort of shader. Kind of worked. It wasn't great, but also we had like a week to do like how many minutes of animation?
A million.
Yes, so can be done better. Let's see Blender's ocean shader or Blender ocean modifier. See if someone makes a pretty ocean. Make ocean button.
Do you know of a way to add some atmospheric perspective stuff? Basically, where the horizon line meets the ocean to make it a bit more fuzzier. Like, would it have to be volumetrics or?
You can do that with
Is
your
there another
depth
way to approach
pass
that?
and sort of a depth of field, but this is quite pretty.
Vision on a cube.
That's cute. Should make Blimp's eyes glow.
Glow It's a cyborg.
Zzz.
It's genuinely terrifying.
Our initial inspiration for the background stuff was Genshin. Like, do you know how to get this kind of look for the background? Like that hazy, very blurry.
Yeah, I kind of based the sky off of Genshin Impact actually.
Looks good.
Add the emission to the volume of a cube.
Would you have a giant volume going over everything? Because the moons are really far away. Just because there is camera movement.
But also make them really far away
they are.
in
They
Blender.
Are.
Are
Yeah,
they?
are. Yeah, that's why I'm
And-
a bit confused about the volumetric. Would you just have like a really big?
Yeah, it'll be
volumetric?
the size of your scene.
Is that heavy?
You can-
That's big?
But put an emission into the volume channel.
You can
Don't use a principled volume.
Okay.
If it just has to act to, haze it out, then do that, because that won't add to render time.
Okay, so emission in the volume.
Yeah, and then put it to like 0.001 or something. Mm.
And you could use the depth pass to generate some of this in post as
Yeah.
well. Okay, I'm gonna hop into the other group, guys. Good luck and keep me posted.
Yeah,
Thanks,
for the
Stefan.
input.
Cool.
Chris, are you staying?
I can.
You mind looking at our interior?
I don't.
I mean, everything is like.
I just think of the man,
How's it
literally,
going?
the legend.
How's it going?
Stefan, I'm gonna go because I'm not feeling well.
Oh, shame. Good luck.
Yeah. I'm almost done with importing all the assets into the one scene. So when I'm done with that, I'll send you the scene.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
Alright, so we're
Thanks,
just
guys.
consolidating everything.
Yeah.
Feel better soon.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cool. I saw an animation update from you, Paul. So I'll write up some feedback for you.
Stefan, I also uploaded some compositing blend files and also uploaded the live character fully rigged and ready to go.
Okay, great stuff. Does everyone else have access to that?
I need to kind of give them access. It's just in that folder I shared for the progress.
Okay, yeah, please do. Is there anything that's still bugging you about it? Must I give it a once over?
I did struggle with the cloth and everything, so I did do a new example of life just with proper pants. If that I could show.
Okay.
Probably just. I think
still have it,
Cameron still needs to just mask the body underneath the clothing, so that there's no clipping. But that's about it.
Stefan also gave in my progress, but I put it on the Google Drive instead of Canvas.
Okay.
But I
you just-
uploaded it now onto Canvas.
Or just post a link on
Hairstyle, yeah.
on that. That's I mean on Canvas. That's also fine. As long as I can access it.
Yeah, you can now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you just hide the skirt or what?
I just hit it because she was giving problems.
Okay.
I couldn't figure out the cloth simulations every time. Just went crazy. And also just finish this just so that in case I don't figure out the cloth at all, there is a backup. So that she is ready for people to animate when they need to animate with her.
Her pants make her look a little chunky. They're around the knee area.
Yeah, she's got the biggest thigh in the world. So
Thick thighs.
yeah, so I might need to make her because that's physically the pants around her thighs. So I need to maybe make her thighs a little bit smaller.
Yeah, it's just like Matthew said. It's just a matter of adding a mask.
Okay.
To a mask modifier to your character, and then the pants can be pretty much the same size as the legs. They can be skin tight.
Yeah.
Because they won't clip.
Okay.
There won't be anything to clip with.
I just need to check out this mask thing. But yeah,
Do we maybe just want the shirt a bit bigger, or because there's no dress or anything now?
I would prefer to keep the dress, and worry about the simulation when we've got animation done. Personally, but if it is really a problem, then I just feel like she was more in character when she was wearing a dress.
I still have that rigs and everything. I just still having problems with the
you
something.
You mustn't be worried about stuff that hasn't even been necessary yet. Like we haven't had a reason to simulate.
Okay.
So you have the and you can just copy the model across, because I mean you could literally just select the geometry, delete the armature modifier because the vertex.
That's the only problem that I have with her, to be honest.
Yeah, but you ignore.
I mean, I guess you don't need to simulate if you just make it part of the actual rig and everything as well. Because then they'll just move. So like if she lifts the leg up, then
You mean just weight paint it?
Yeah, we'll just weight paint it to the rig, and then because I don't think we need anything simulated if it's just weight painted.
If she's sitting down most of the time, and if she's moving, and if it's weight painted and it looks weird, then we can always add
the simulation there.
Yeah.
And also the dress follows the hand for some reason. It's gonna spawn all my C stuff.
Let's have a look at the what you did with the lashes and the face rig.
I'm not sure how this face rig is at the moment.
No, but we'll use your latest. The dress is just a copy over.
Yeah. Okay. So this rig doesn't have any pose libraries because I was able to do that. Let me just, there we go. Wait, that makes too many. So yeah.
Okay, cool.
Some things need to be checked. I'm not sure how to do the icons again.
There's here in the front, just underneath the eye look at controller, there's a little bar, this capsule size bar. Not that one. At the front by the look ats.
So these.
Yeah, just underneath that, toward
Yeah.
those bars. You're right. You're almost on it.
Almost on it.
If it was a snake, it would have bitten you already.
Yeah. just on any.
It's in front of the nose.
Stop
It's in
changing
front
the.
of the nose,
Yeah, there.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't change.
So
the
move
cap.
that up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So that's the blink. Okay.
And then there's the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, oh,
Okay, so that waiting.
well, this is this part of it, or is it? And that's actually part of the face, but not moving the brain. Damn it. So there's some little tweaks I need to do still, but yeah.
Okay, but we can't. We really can't wait for tweaks that we need to animate.
Yeah.
So if this is the one that you're happy with, then I'll be happy to transfer the dress afterwards, just as long as you compose the body and animate the. Animate the character.
Okay.
Yeah. So you shared the one with the. You shared the latest one with me, hey?
Yeah, but it's this scene. It's just this one on her.
That's
own.
fine. I think you shared the dress with me in a previous occasion, so I would probably still have access to that in any case.
Yeah, the dress still has its physics and everything. It's just I don't know why, but the whole collision thing is gone.
Forget about the simulation. We weight paint the dress just the same as everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we need to simulate it in the end, we'll only simulate the bottom part of it, and we'll use proxy objects for her thighs to collide with.
Okay.
So it's a different approach altogether, and we need the rig first and foremost because animation needs to be completed before simulation.
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
Other than the eyebrows, I think there's some things here and there, but yeah. I just have no idea why it's not following, but still.
What did they stay behind?
They stay behind. But here they're fine. I don't remember where they were staying behind. Oh yeah, see the forehead.
I think it's just weight painting issues still.
On the brow, yeah. It's not a big
Mm-hmm.
deal.
Mm-hmm. It's just a little bit of white painting issue still, but it's at least better than where I was with it.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other things that we wanted to ask about, Stefan, was about tomorrow's hand-in.
Yes.
So is everyone going to hand in a pre-comp vlog?
Yes. So it doesn't have to be final comp, but you need to show me what happens when you or basically just the files that you've selected or the passes that you've selected to extract. Just put those together. So if you're using a depth pass, put it together. Just show me. So like in some cases, if you put it together, it's not going to be final or make sense or maybe look pretty because it's not integrated. But I just want to see how or what you have available or what you deem necessary for that shot, and if those passes are working at least, because then I can look at a pass and say, you know what, move that object to the background, move that object to the foreground, that shouldn't be on your depth pass, maybe create a mat for that or whatever.
So it's basically describing, like what I'm showing now, is you describe how you would set up a comp. Or is it different in this?
That's correct. Just zoom in a bit so that I can just get a better sense of what you're referring to.
So is this what we're trying to? Is this what we should explain in our vlog?
Yes, please.
Okay. What we're doing for every shot and what? Yeah, I'm definitely gonna update mine because I talked to Chris about it.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we all have to do it. Sorry.
It doesn't have to be as integrated as this is, but I would like to see what those different passes look like. So even if you just extract those passes and show me each one individually and tell me, okay, here's the depth. This is what the depth pass looks like for this shot.
Okay. Should we also take it into After Effects and also talk about it there, or just here?
This is a pre-comp, so it doesn't have to be final in After Effects. It's just the layering and the thinking behind the layering.
Okay.
It's not a massive hand-in. It's for 10% of your term mark. So, do what you can, and it's better. It's just more about having a first look at it so that we can avoid issues going forward and make sure that we have everything.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to ask about the hand-in.
So it's not the final comp. You can still hand over these files that you've now extracted from your renders to a compositor, so 1 or 2 people in your group compositing, so that they can actually finish the comp. It's just to make sure that they have the right working files.
Do we want to talk about how we assign teams? What we're doing now, just to get the stamp of approval.
Sure. So,
anyone else? We've got the list. Who's doing what?
So basically, we would discuss this mainly with Chris. So
Okay.
yeah.
Can you just give me a rundown?
So Ashen's gonna be working on Cupid and fixing that up. Bean is working on Death and fixing all that. Mainly the scene that Paul and Ashen were working on. Cameron's gonna be focusing on composition. Matthew's working on Life's animation. Paul's working on Limbo's animation. Rachel's working on Death's office, and I'm working on the reception area with the environment. Rachel and I are doing the environment.
And also we're helping with light.
Oh yeah, and light. Sorry, my brain is
the
like
lightings.
the light is part of the composition. That's why I need to remember that.
Final lighting, etc.
Yes.
Okay.
And Paul's gonna be doing the effects, so he's gonna. So once we get right now the week we're working on this week, the rest of this week and next week, we're gonna try and get as much done as possible. Then just give a quick render of what we have, and then we're gonna try and piece it all together so we can see what we're missing and stuff from there on.
Okay. Yeah. It is. I think for Death, it's been difficult to sort of establish a continuous flow of actions. Also because of the nature of the sort of performance. Like, we want to almost showcase each character in their own right, but they still need to fit in with each other. So that, I think that's been the challenge, and we're still kind of focusing on each individual character and portraying each individual character. But it does need to start coming together now. So I think that's a good plan. But please just sort of try and stick to it, and rather get something out and like sooner, rather than wait till the last day to produce it. Try and get stuff sooner so that you can get more feedback on it and you can refine it.
Should we then say we can get everything done next week Wednesday, and then next week Thursday we present it all to you, and then you can give us feedback? Like, we hand it to you Wednesday evening.
Animation is always the priority, because that's what people sort of see in the end of the day. So as long as the environments are being worked on and finalized, that's fine, but it's not as urgent as getting a first draft of animation ready, or a second draft and refining, and etc. So that process needs to be fast-tracked, and really all the effort should go into the performance.
Okay.
Because as soon as we get a shot that's ready, that works in terms of performance, we can go, oh great, now we just need the background to be popped in, and then we can set up the lighting and the rendering.
Okay.
So for the guys that are animating, it's absolutely key that you keep me up to speed with your progress, and send me updates as soon as you've received feedback. And if I don't give you feedback in time, just poke me. Just say, like, Stefan, really, like, how many hours do I have to wait?
Yeah. Okay.
I sent this to you 3 minutes ago. Where's my feedback? It's okay. I get very sort of distracted by all sorts of things. I have a ton of hats that I need to wear. So if you could just send, just poke me and say, look, I need some feedback on this, then I'll look into it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
So I think that happened with like a specific instance where Paul sent me something on a Friday, and then I looked on it on the Monday, and then I didn't get to write feedback, and then I think he had to wait like a week before I got to it again. So just in between, like, let me know, okay, that I'm wasting your time. I don't mind.
Stefan, I would also just please like to ask about death. Do we use the new the Mercy group's death from now on?
Please do. Please do. I think it's going to work well with your animation. I think the only character at this point that's really stands out is Limbo, like in terms of style. And I don't mind it really because he is such an oddball character. I think everything else, kind of like Life and Death, or the new Death, are kind of on the same. And even Cupid, I feel like the volume of the character, the way that the shape's been used, the rounding of the limbs, everything is sort of on the same level, whereas Limbo is really stylized. So there's little things on Limbo that I might suggest you tweak to get it onto the same level, like maybe just some extra bits of detail in the way that the suit is put together. But I think that's something that I can work with Paul on. If we could all just sort of settle in with the characters that we have, then it's easier to fix that one, or to slightly adjust that one character. I wouldn't say fix, because I love the design of the character, and I would have loved for that style to be consistent, but we don't have the time to get all of them there. The same, I think, happened when I spoke to your other team members earlier this week. We looked
Me and Michelle.
yeah. So Matthew, we looked at your props and assets that you've made, and they're lovely, but it's a little too late to go and integrate all of that. So we're going to sort of cherry pick the ones that we can that still make sense, and then obviously it's still content for your portfolio. It's not to say that it's not well produced. It's just that it's not going to gel. So we need to
because rather have everything looking the
Yes.
same than have things that are standing out.
Yeah. So I'll work with everyone's like individual attempts and progress, and then Beanwell, if you can please use that character, I think you're going to have a lot more success animating that.
Because I did animate by scene. It's just with in terms of getting him to frown, the mouth, the sides of the mouth didn't give me that wah feeling. What do you
Upset.
yeah, upsetty. Yeah, I couldn't get the upsetty through enough, but I guess I need to play with the rig a bit more. And then I gotta send it to the other people, other people as well.
Bean, were you just using the face shapes, or?
I used the controls.
Okay, so were the controls locked when trying to make it frown?
Or limited?
They were quite limiting. I couldn't fully get that, but it is. We can just like tweak it as well.
Yeah,
so
you're free to go into those, because in the other one he doesn't really have like an awful lot of expression. I think the only time he shows any real sort of surprise is when he sees the fish or something like that, and it's not like he's not going through a lot of emotions in that film. Let's rather put it that way. So.
Oh yeah, there was no.
Yeah, totally.
Is there maybe like a version of the file where the textures are linked? Because the file that I had only had it only had like the jewelry, like the necklace had like a texture on it, but then everything else was pink. So the eyes didn't like really transfer over, so I couldn't really like render it to show the eyes. I couldn't really play with them, so I had to like make use of the head movements.
So for that, let me just show you a little trick that you could potentially use. See if I have the death character at hand here. That's very disturbing. Searching my computer for death and getting way more results than what I wanted. Where is he? I don't often keep your files for very long. I sort of tend to work on them and then hand them back, and I'm just trying to find a version of it. Let me grab the one from Discord server quick. It's in Mercy chat, hey? So with this character, okay, those are the brows. Where are the lids? Let's face through that. Okay. Right. Then it should have a lens, if I'm not mistaken. Does it have a lens? It's outer eye, right? So what you could do, you guys following?
Oh, yeah.
All right, sorry. In here, make sure it's set to material, and then I'm just trying to see where the okay, in the viewport settings you can either do okay, so wireframe is whack. Why is it pointing in that direction? Inner eye. Just familiarize myself with this quick. Okay, I see the problem. Like, I don't know who rigs an eye and doesn't have it pointing forward. Like, that's where it's supposed to be looking at. Because then you can just activate the wireframe. You know, then you can animate it like that. But I'm wondering if that might be an option for the outer eye, since it's not it's just a lens, so it doesn't really matter which direction it's pointing in. And then you could rotate that by 90 degrees. So let's just see, 90 degrees on the x-axis. Nope, that's not the axis. Z. No. But why? Sorry, none of those seem to work. Let me just make sure that it's on the wireframe. It's the red one, so it's minus 90. And then you could potentially use it like that for animation, because it would still show you in which direction it's looking. Would that help in the meantime?
Yeah, I just need to make it cartoony so that it fits the other characters' eyeballs. And
this is just for now.
This is just for animating.
Yeah.
oh, okay. Yeah, this is perfect.
Until all the
Textures
and
are
stuff
back
are ready.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just so that you can see what's going on. If that overlapping thing is bothering you, I think you can also tell it to well, so that's just in front. That's the rig, actually.
Oh, it's the inner.
It's the inner eye intersecting.
Just untick the wireframe for the inner eye then. Cause yeah. There you go.
Yeah, so that's better. Cool, and then you said this isn't very expressive.
Yeah, it's like it has a natural smile to it.
I remember that about it. It doesn't really go very far in terms of the frown, and perhaps the jawbone could help. And smoothing, I think the smoothing is just switched off at the moment. Otherwise, what you could do is, because it might just be the shape that's not coming together, so face, frown, mouth, frown, and then that's modulated. But what you could do for that pose as well Sorry, this isn't super user friendly with the 2 rigs. So if you select them both and put that in pose mode, then at least it allows you to toggle between the items. So you are going to have to select both of them. But I think for the mouse to be more of a frown, besides the fact that most of the frowning is probably happening in the eyes. You can do a bit of glare. And then just sculpt something that, like even from the frown, maybe just either duplicate that or make a new shape key and say extra frown.
Would you maybe even be allowed to just remove the constraints from controllers?
Yeah, well, you don't need. Oh, yeah, maybe, but I think that's as far as the shape went. Did I just pull that eye down like that?
Yeah, I think you did.
It's not what I meant to do.
But yeah, I know what you mean. That this was the shape key.
I made the shape key from the. Okay, yeah, but let me just. I made the shape key from an existing shape key or with others in place, so just that's not great, but.
Yeah.
And then you can animate this, so these are fairly easy to animate. So you just hover over it to press I, and then just where you need it. I again when you don't need it anymore, and just animate it off. Yeah. So yeah, just animate the shape. You don't have to have face shapes for everything. This is also the way that we correct certain things. So if we see that his face is or his hair is intersecting with his body or his clothes or whatever, then we can make a temporary shape key, fix it, sculpt it, and then animate it in and out for the shot. So you'll probably have a lot of these corrected face shapes in the end. Yeah. On this one, yeah. So it depends on what rig you're using, but most of the sort of modern rigs would have a script associated with it, and you just need to go back to that scene that still has this intact. You could also generate an entirely new one by just generating a new Rigify rig or a new AutoRig Pro rig, and then copy the script. Because if you open that, you'll see that it has a rig ID. So you would just go to your rig ID over here and copy that, paste it into the script. So replace that little thing there, and then if you run it, then this will reappear. Cool. Okay, guys. You can expect some more feedback from me on SyncSketch and on the submissions, the progress submissions, throughout the well, probably not tomorrow. I'm in an all-day meeting, but throughout the day, perhaps today, maybe tomorrow evening. Let me know if there's anything urgent. If you don't have anything to go on with, or if you need something fixed, then I'll look into it. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's mostly just us working. So
please do.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stefan.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
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 Cheers.